Hi there, I'm Karen McCarthy and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Wednesday, that's when we talk about spiritual health. And I have a really cool story to share today. It's called What He Valued Most. Some of you may have heard it before, but it's a cool story. It's about a young man named Jack and how he learns what's most important in life. He had grown up next door to a man named Mr. Belser, and after Jack's father died when he was young, Mr. Belser kind of stepped in and took over kind of a fatherly role, taught him carpentry, taught him how to ride a bike, did those kinds of things that fathers normally do and that his mother sometimes wasn't able to do. But Jack grew up, went to college, moved away, and hadn't really thought about Mr. Belser for a long time. He was one of those workaholics who worked so much to provide for his family that he really wasn't spending much time with his family. So one day he gets a phone call from his mom and she says, Jack, Mr. Belser died last night. The funeral's Wednesday. And he started remembering all the things about his childhood. And he just sat quietly remembering them. And she said, Jack, did you hear me? Oh, Mom, sorry, yes, I heard you. It's been so long since I thought of him. I'm sorry, but I honestly thought he died years ago. She says, well, he didn't forget you. Every time I saw him, he'd ask how you were doing. He'd reminisce about the many days you spent over on his side of the fence, as he called it. Jack says, I loved that old house he lived in. She says, after your father died, he really stepped in to make sure you had a man's influence in your life. Yeah, he's the one who taught me carpentry. I wouldn't be in this business if it wasn't for him. He spent a lot of time teaching me things that he thought were important. Mom, I'll be there for the funeral. So as busy as he was, he kept his word, caught the next flight back to his hometown. Mr. Belser's funeral was very small and uneventful. He had no family and most of his relatives had passed away. The night before he was to return home, Jack and his mom stopped by to see the old house one more time. Standing in the doorway, Jack paused for a moment. It was like crossing over into another dimension, like a leap through time and space. The house was exactly as he remembered. Every step held memories, every picture, every piece of furniture. He stopped suddenly. What's wrong, Jack? His mom said. The box. The box is gone, he said. What box? Well, there was a small gold box he kept locked on top of his desk. Must have asked him 1,000 times what was inside. All he'd ever tell me was, it was the thing I value most. It was gone. Everything about the house was exactly as remembered except for the box. Now I'll never know what was so valuable to him, Jack said. Oh, I better get some sleep. I have an early flight home, Mom. About 2 weeks later, he gets home from work one day and there's a note in his mailbox saying that there's a signature required on a package. No one's home. Please stop by the main post office within the next 3 days. So he goes to retrieve the package. It was a small box. Looked like it was kind of old and had been mailed like 100 years ago. The handwriting was kind of hard to read, but the return address caught his attention. Mr. Harold Belser, it said. He took it out to his car, ripped open the package, and there inside was the gold box and an envelope. His hands shook as he read the note inside. Upon my death, please forward this box and its contents to Jack Bennett. It's the thing I valued most in my life. A small key was taped to the letter. His heart racing, his eyes filling with tears, Jack carefully unlocked the box. What was it that was the most valuable thing? There inside, he found a beautiful gold pocket watch. Running his fingers slowly over the finely etched casing, he unlatched the cover. Inside, he found these words engraved. Jack, thanks for your time, Harold Belser. The thing he valued most was my time? Jack held the watch for a few minutes, then called his office and cleared his appointments for the next 2 days. Why? Janet, his assistant, asked. I need to spend time with my son, he said. Oh, by the way, Janet, thanks for your time. So the gift of time is a very precious one to most of us. It seems in our busy lives, there's seldom enough time in a day for all the things we need to do, right? All too often, this means that quality time spent with those we love gets put on the chopping block, squeezed in when we can, but it may not be a priority. Psalm 39, 4-5 is a passage that makes me think about time and how I spend it. It says, show me, O Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting is my life. You have made my days a mere handbreadth. The span of my years is nothing before you. Each man's life is but a breath. So in our view, lifetime may seem like a long time to us, but in the scope of history, it's just a flash in the pan, a heartbeat, what would you call a snap? I don't know. How I spend my life becomes more significant when measured against history past, present, and future. I want my life, I want to make sure that it's not just a blip of time, that it's significant. To make that happen, my focus needs to be on how I can impact the lives of others, not on myself and my needs. Now, don't get me wrong. I consider myself and my needs important, and if I don't take care of myself, I'm no good to anybody else, but they should just not be the most important thing. So my prayer today is that my wants and my needs take the back burner to activities that will positively impact the lives of others. I want to be God's beacon of light to those I encounter each day. I may not always live up to this expectation, but I do get better and better as time goes on, and it is my goal. Have a blessed day, and I pray that you are also a beacon in your community.